What's up, everyone? Welcome to another week of Believe Me with Brandon Lang, Kordell Stewart, and myself, Joe Ceraulo. And Believe Me, of course, is brought to you by our proud sponsors over at BetOnline. Head on over to betonline.ag and use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your first time, one-time 50% welcome bonus. Any deposit between $50 and $1,000, BetOnline will match up to 50% of it with that promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. So head on over to BetOnline and let the games begin. All right, it's time for another episode of Believe Me with the former Pro Bowl NFL quarterback Kordell Stewart, the career handicapper and inspiration for Matthew McConaughey's character in Two for the Money, Brandon Lang, and myself, your good-looking host, Joe Ceraulo. Gentlemen, Brandon, you are on a 2-week winning streak. Last week, you slaughtered Kordell and myself. We went 2-4. You went 4-2. You hit your bonus game, TCU Baylor. I owe you dinner because of TCU's atrocious special teams. But Brandon, most importantly, when Kordell and I were all over Kirk Thuggins and the Minnesota Vikings, you humbled us. You humbled us big time.
Well, you can lead horses to water, but you can't make them drink. You were so in love with Kirk Cousins, so in love with Minnesota, so in love with their win off Buffalo. I said right to the former All-Pro and NFL player to have an emotional game like Buffalo and to have to come back home and match those emotions 2 weeks in a row. But the most eloquent analogy I gave, pressure equals problems. And I said to you guys, you go into a strip bar, that first stripper grabs your hand and leads you down the road. That's pressure. That's going to equal problems. Kirk Cousins is the worst quarterback in the NFL if he doesn't have a running game and he feels pressure. You saw Philadelphia on Monday night with the 3 interceptions. And of course, here he came right here in front of us. Dallas got pressure and you guys got sucked into it. I just want you guys to do me a favor. Go to YouTube when we're done and type in Kirk Cousins press conference after the Dallas game. And this guy that led you down that road of financial ruin last week, watch his press conference. He looks like a little kid that got put in timeout by his mama. She took his pacifier away, took all his toys away, and he has to sit there and literally, if you had Kirk Cousins, you have to watch it. For me, it was a joyous day because I can't stand the guy. But that press conference was the most agonizing 4 minutes.
It was not about the hook.
There it is. Thank you. Well, but I'll tell you what.
Speaking of little kids and press conferences, we're going to start with the first game of this week's 6-game slate. Zach Wilson has been benched this week as quarterback of the New York Jets. Kordell, you and I got screwed on that pick. We were on the Jets, and we were on the right side until the very final play.
I agree. I had New England. He's running the punt back. I literally was having a great day. I said trip and fall and let him kick the field goal from my boys Kordell and Joy to get the win on the Jets.
Yeah,
but I literally was like, oh my God, that's such a bad beat. Oh my God.
And that had nothing to do with Zach, by the way. The score was 3-3.
2 yards of total offense in the second half did have to do with Zach Wilson. So he's benched. Mike White is going to be starting for the New York Jets this week. They're 4.5-point favorites, Kordell, against the Bears. Justin Fields is questionable. If he doesn't play, Trevor Siemian's the guy. That's not going to be pretty. So Jets favored by 4.5. Mike White versus either Justin Fields or Trevor Siemian. Kordell, how do you see this game rolling?
I may have to go with Trevor Siemian and the Bears. I'm just thinking this Jets team right now is defensively, we know they can play really good football. We've seen what they've done in the secondary. We've seen what the front seven can actually do. Offensively, we see when the ball is actually being moved up and down the field by the quarterbacks being able to dink and dunk. It opens the door for the running game to happen. But this Bears football team, they find crazy ways to win games, even though they may be extremely ugly, but they find ways to get it done. Trevor Siemian, I'm going to have to go with Trevor more than I am going to have to go with whoever is going to be the starting quarterback because it's not Joe Flacco. If it was Joe Cool, I would go with the Jets if it was Joe Cool, but he's not even. He was the third string guy on the roster. Come on, why isn't Joe Cool going? Something's going on with the Jets that are not allowing that to happen. I'm going with the Bears just because. Why not?
Brandon, how about you?
I've been losing to this guy.
we couldn't be more different about this game than any game we've done this year. First of all, if Joe Flacco were the quarterback, I would lean towards I would take the Jets more than I would take the Bears. He's saying because it's Mike White, he's going against and he's going with the Bears. My point is everything, every number, every point spread the Bears have covered this year has to do with Justin Fields. It just does. mobile quarterback in the run game. Got to respect the run game. Now you're giving a Jets defense a guy that's a drop back passer. So the threat of the run is gone. So now you got a defense at home that played great last week that realizes we have to win this football game. I don't trust Trevor Siemian. Never have, never will. The Jets coming back home in this situation with that defense, needing a win with their D coordinator. Simple as this. If for whatever reason Justin Fields plays, all 4 of Chicago's covers have come as an underdog of 4+ points this year. Fields plays, take the points. Field doesn't play, get on the Jets and that defense to almost pitch a shutout, but they will show up. They will show well. Give me the Jets minus the points.
Gents, I have nothing to add because, Brandon, you just took the words out of my mouth. All 4 of the Bears covers coming as dogs of 4 or more points. If Fields plays, it's as simple as that. He's been their quarterback for all those covers. If he doesn't play, Mike White, don't forget, this is the quarterback who led the Jets to 38 points and a win over the Cincinnati Bengals, the Super Bowl, the team that represented the AFC in the Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals, a year ago. So, Brandon, I'm 100% with your analysis there. Second game, the Baltimore Ravens headed down to Jacksonville to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Ravens are 4-point favorites, and all 4 of their covers this season have come on the road. Kordell, do the Ravens go into Jacksonville and win this one by more than 4 points?
I think they do. Considering what you just said, based on how they played when they've gotten on the road, they play really, really well. I like the Baltimore Ravens just because who's going to stop Lamar Jackson, truthfully. This Jacksonville team, they have moments and times where they do play really good football. And basically because of what they can do on the offensive side of the football with their quarterback, I just don't see them being able to stop this. Ravens team is playing for something. Let's just be transparent. They're playing for a position to win the division as well as have an opportunity to position themselves throughout the entire conference. I don't think they're going to allow this team in Jacksonville to slow them down any different than what someone else have tried to do in the past. Being that they're a road team that know how to cover, I'm going with the Ravens in this one.
Brandon, how about you?
I'm gonna give Kordell a chance to get the winner's circle against me. I've kicked him to the curb for a couple of weeks. I got to get my boy a little confidence and he'll get back up on a bike and
this guy right here
be able to gloat a little bit. I just hate putting the All Pro on the bench for a couple of weeks. I'm gonna get him back in the starting lineup. All 7 of the Jags losses this year have come by 4 points or more. That supports Kordell. 5 of Baltimore's 7 wins this year have come by 5 points or more. So every number supports Kordell and his Baltimore Raven pick. For me, I can't pass up home dogs at +4 or more. I just can't. I look for the Jags coming out their bye week to be focused, to be refreshed, and to be able to hang in here and cover this number. So I'm going to go against Kordell yet again and take the home dog Jags plus the points to get it done. Hang around and step toe-to-toe. This is their Super Bowl over the Baltimore Ravens.
I respect it. I respect giving Kordell a shot to get back in the win column there. I'm going to go with Kordell. I'm going to go with the numbers, Brandon. Your numbers
Which I
actually,
knew you were.
Yeah, your numbers steer me towards Kordell. The fact that Jacksonville, look, pretty much they're 3-7. When they've won, they've covered. When they've lost, they haven't. All 7 of those losses by 4 or more. Kordell, I'm going to ride with you. I'm going to ride with Lamar Jackson, the Florida kid going back to his home state. Game number 3, gentlemen. The LA Chargers.
Real quick. Last time on that field for the Louisville Cardinals in their bowl game against Mississippi State, Lamar threw 4 picks. Ooh, the voodoo.
Look at this guy. This dude's trying to throw.
Well, we're talking about 5 years ago, but okay, I like that stat. What was that? The Outback Bowl? Was that the Outback Bowl?
Might have been.
Game 3, Chargers.
He's reaching so hard right now. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Game 3, Chargers, Cardinals. The LA Chargers are 4.5-point road favorites in this one. Guys, you know the drill. Cliff Kingsbury, one of the best coaches against the spread as an underdog since he took the Cardinals over. This year, though, hasn't really been the case. Brandon, we're going to start with you on this one. You rolling with Justin Herbert minus 4.5 at Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I had a great weekend. Had a big 200 dimer at BrandonLang.com on Arkansas over Ole Miss, 35-6 at the half. Never had to sweat it. Sunday came back with 100 dimer on the Colts, plus the 7 over Philly. Should have won the game outright. Play calling there at the end, up 13-10, first and goal at the 5. Should just ran Jonathan Taylor 4 times and said, we're going to score. They ran it once, through the other 2 times, kicked the field goal, and set Jalen Hurts up for the 17-16 win. Now you look at this game with the Cardinals. I went with them on Monday night, feeling pretty good. I would take the dog and sat there and said, this defense of the Cardinals is garbage. They are really bad. Missed tackles, gap control, no pressure on the quarterback. It was literally embarrassing. With that being said, if Kyler Murray plays in this game, I would take Arizona plus the points.
Ooh.
If Kyler Murray doesn't play and it's Colt McCoy and the dink and dunk and the dink and dunk, I would have to say the Chargers, who are 5-0 against the spread on the road this year, should have beat the Chiefs on Monday night. Didn't. Unbelievable. Should have beat the Chiefs the first time around at Kansas City. Didn't. But they're feisty. They're playing with a third-string defense, and yet that third-string defense figures out a way to keep their team in games, unless giving Mahomes the ball back with whatever change. So I'm going to take, if Kyler Murray plays, I'll take the dog. If he doesn't, I'll look for the Chargers to go to a perfect 6-0 good spread on the road.
Kordell, how do you feel about this one? You were on the right side of the Chargers against Kansas City Sunday night, betting that game. Are you going to roll with them again?
I'm riding with them again. I mean, yes, they are 5-0 on the road, but they've won and covered all 3 of the games as a road favorite. Everything. I mean, they're just really playing really good right now. I think this Cardinals team, as B Love just alluded to a second ago, they're not doing nothing on defense. Offensively, they're still trying to figure out who they are. We're not seeing any production whatsoever on the offensive side of football. It just seems like whoever they put in, it looks good for a moment, but then far as the consistency is concerned, it never lasts. So you can't really, peg anything that's consistent to allow you to bet on this Cardinals team. You have to ride with the Chargers because you see what they're doing. They're in position to place themselves for an opportunity to win in that division, because that division is horrible right now. Think about the AFC West. It is not good at all. So if there's a team that has an opportunity to get an edge and get further out front, if you will, get out front, this is the time to take advantage of it, just by winning this type of a game and winning it handsomely. Not a little bit, but by a lot. So I'm going with the Chargers.
I'm with you on this one, Kordell. I think it's going to be a double-digit win for the Chargers. It's funny. Under Kingsbury, the Cardinals are the 4th best team against the spread as underdogs. But as a home dog in the last 3.5 years, just 6-6 against the number. And at home in general, 11-18 against the number under Cliff Kingsbury. They are the 5th worst home covering team in the last 4 years.
If you're watching in-season Hard Knocks with the Arizona Cardinals, go watch episode, I think it's 2. They show Kingsbury's house in Arizona. It's a badass house. I mean, my man had a badass house.
I saw it.
He should enjoy that house, because he's gone after this year anyway. So enjoy that house. And he's single and didn't show no hotties running around, which he should have had a couple hotties running around from that Scottsdale area. But my boy,
that was pretty nice, wasn't it?
Pat is nice. But you needed to have a dime piece blonde cooking something in the kitchen to kind of give it a little floss to it. My man had nothing. No dogs either. Yeah. My man.
Kingsbury experiment, that is over. Hey, Packers, Eagles, Sunday night football. Let's get to that game. The Eagles are full 7-point favorites in this one. Now, of course, 2 weeks ago, they had their first loss of the year. This week should have had their second. Brandon, starting with you, are you going to ride with Aaron Rodgers as a full touchdown underdog?
One thing you'll realize about Green Bay is, unlike the Colts, who didn't stick with it, the Redskins did. Green Bay will borrow a page from the Redskins playbook, and they will run the football. And they have the type of running game, just like the Redskins did, where they will go in there and pound the rock. And if you give Aaron Rodgers play action situations, he will do exactly what Taylor Heineke did. Everybody's going to bet Philadelphia in this game based on what they saw Green Bay last week against Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill had a big day, and I get it. But this is a matchup problem for Philadelphia, just like Washington was. And if you made the mistake of going with Philadelphia against Washington, don't make that same mistake here. Green Bay going to pound that rock. They'll be in this football game. Green Bay plus the points.
Kordell, how do you feel about this one?
Philly, just go ahead.
It sounds good. It sounds good, but let me help you. Let me help you understand a little something. See, here's the thing. Green Bay wants to run the football, but can they run the football consistently against a defense such as Philadelphia, or anyone for that matter? Because they really want to rely on Aaron Rodgers and his ability to be able to make plays with getting the football down the field. They don't want to necessarily rely on the run. So now you're going to make this team play to a level and in a place that they truly aren't comfortable in, but they know they have no choice. Now, don't think Philly just going to walk in and just make this thing happen just because they're sitting at 91 and everyone's excited because they are. I'm going to say
overrated.
This team knows that they're struggling right now over the last couple weeks, and they were able to get a good win on the road against Indy by closing out in the latter part of it. And I'll say this. when it comes down to Philadelphia and when it comes down to the Packers team, they know this game right here can be a playoff atmosphere. I think Philly plays up to it, and I think Philly actually gets it done by more than 7 points against this Packers team. Even though they're going to try to run the football, the Green Bay Packers, that is, I think the Philadelphia Eagles go out, and I think they actually pull back a little bit. We're trying to make it be about Jalen Hurts and run the football the way they know how to. Defense be stingy because they know they want to try to run the ball to take pressure off of Aaron Rodgers on the road so that they can actually do play action passes to get it down the field. I am going to go with Philadelphia. And don't threaten me with a good time, by the way, B-Love. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Kordell, you know I love going with you, man, but on this one, it's all about Brandon. I mean, you're saying Green Bay is going to try to run the ball. They have Aaron Jones. He is one of the best, probably the most underrated running back in the National Football League. They're going to run the ball. The Eagles have the second worst run defense in the National Football League. And look, I know Philly is 4-1 against the spread at home, but Green Bay this year, 3-1 against the spread as underdogs with 3 straight covers as dogs.
Okay.
Brandon, I'm on your side for a change. It feels good.
Yeah,
Feels good to walk on the wild side.
Just slap me around. You'll see. You'll be back
Joey.
talking to me. Forget about it. Let's go.
Hey, you know what, Kordell? I'm going to do you a solid here. I'm going to talk about your Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't talk about them too often because, let's be honest, there's not much to talk about. But they are headed to Indy Monday night, and they are 2.5-point dogs. Kordell, who you riding with? Your Steelers or the Colts to win by a field goal or more?
Hey, man, my Steelers right now, even with T.J. Watt this past game, it wasn't really good. Cincinnati had their number literally for a while. That was nothing new, but they have to go on the road to play against the Colts team that's under Jeff Saturday. I think is playing really good football. They just end up coming up short against Philadelphia in this last game. I'm actually go with the Colts. I'm gonna go with the Colts. I'm gonna give the Colts an opportunity at this one because I think what's going to happen is they're going to isolate T.J. Watt. They're going to see he's not playing to the highest level, even though he's the emotional leader on this football team. But it still won't be enough. I think this bump in the road against Philly wasn't one that can cause this team to sit back a lot because they did some really good things. They ran the ball pretty solid, right? They made some good passing plays down the field. Defense played outstanding against Philly. I mean, they were making some phenomenal stops. They wasn't falling for too much. And you're going to ask this quarterback and Kenny Pickett to go on a road to actually beat this defense that's been playing really good football over the last couple of weeks, just came up short against Philly, to say we're going to lay it down because Pittsburgh. No, I'm going with Matty Ice and Jeff Saturday and this running game and also this defense that's really been playing really tenacious football.
Kordell shocking the world going against his Steelers. Brandon, quickly on this Monday night snooze fest, which side are you on?
Finally, Kordell and I are at one of those big shopping malls in Atlanta, sitting in the food court. Hotties walking by. We finally agree that this one hottie is a hottie.
Ooh.
Like I don't agree. His looks not mine. Finally, light-skinned African-American girl, half American, half African-American. Fine, model fine. I'm like, Kordell, you like that? He's like, I be love. That's right on the money, be love, because he's right.
They call it have your cake and eat it too. That's what they call that. Go ahead.
That's it. Colts minus the points. Very disappointed in Jeff Saturday at the goal line, as I alluded to earlier. 13-10, punching a touchdown there. They win the game outright, and the whole world back-to-back wins, and they let him off the hook a little bit. The Eagles should be 8-2. I like what I'm seeing from this Indy team. I like the way their offensive line is playing. Pittsburgh has won their first road game of the year, lost 4 straight since. I'm with Kordell. Let's lay the 2.5.
Colts 2-0 against the spread under Saturday. Let's make it 3-0, gents. I'm with both of you. Colts minus 2.5 Monday night. And now it's time for the game of the week. The Cincinnati Bengals, 1.5-point road favorites, headed to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans, who have now covered 8 straight since their 0-2 start. Brandon, starting with you, which side are you on for the game of the week?
I will tell you this. Last year's playoff game, they were 4.5-point favorites. Ryan Tannehill played as if he shaved points and fixed the game. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
He was as awful as he had played in any game I had seen in quite some time. But this Titans team, to me, has a different look to them this year than last year. And that's amazing with no A.J. Brown and getting rid of him. And Derrick Henry is a beast. Went on the road and beat Green Bay. Went on the road, should have beat the Chiefs. They just look different. And I'll tell you why. Their defense. Their defense is playing at an all different level.
Yep.
I'm all over the Titans. You go from being a 4.5-point favorite to 1.5-point home dog. I'll take the Titans plus the points.
Kordell, are you with Brandon again on this one, or are you going with Joe Cool and the Bengals?
Well, Joe Cool has played really good football over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Truly, it's been outstanding. I won't lie to you. Defensively, they've been playing solid. Complementary football as a team. All right, they've been playing really good. Everything is hinging upon number 9. But this Tennessee Titans team right now, when you talk about how great that defense has been playing for the Tennessee Titans, that running game has been as physical. Now, that's complementary football that gets you in the month of November and December, carried over into January, playing possibly in February. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans at home with this one. I think
Look at my man.
Derrick Henry.
Wow.
Derrick Henry. Well, it's Derrick Henry. I mean, we watched him against Green Bay. Correct him if I'm wrong. And we watched that game, and that was the game that I picked to say the Tennessee Titans are going to take what you can do with their running game and send it to any pole, north or south pole, at any moment in time of the year and be productive, and they were. I think the Titans do the same thing against this defense that I don't think that's capable of withstanding the pressure of being stubborn. 2 tight ends, fullback, back hanging off, a receiver hanging off the edge, and being able to stop that inside the box. I think too much of Derrick Henry is going to cause this Bengals team to crack. I'm going with the Titans.
Think about how hard it is. And Kordell, you can speak to this. You played in the league. I know Thursday night games weren't as common when you did, but think about how hard it is with just 3 days off to go on the road, 13-degree weather, and of all stadiums, Lambeau Field, and just punch the other team in the mouth over and over and over for 60 minutes. Look, people were giving Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh the Coach of the Year award earlier on in the year. Mike Vrabel right now has to be the front runner. They started 0-2. They've won 7 of 8 cents. They've covered all 8 cents. I've made money on Tennessee every week for 8 weeks in a row. Not going to stop now. We're all in agreement, gentlemen. The Titans as home dogs, game of the week. They're only 1.5 home dogs, so I don't know if you guys have different advice, but I say hit a money line in this one. All right, gentlemen, time for the surprise play of the week. Brandon, since you beat me last week on account of TCU's crappy kicking game, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, speaking of TCU, this was the week coming up to get on TCU. You're Iowa State. You're 4-7. You've had a miserable year. You can't get bowl eligible. Your season's over. You screwed up last week. And now you got to go on the road and face TCU, who's laying 9.5. Your offense struggles, and you got nothing to play for. What are you going to tell your players? Rah, rah, guys, let's go show up on the road and really give it a real good try. TCU blows the doors off Iowa State this week.
I love it. I love it. Go Horned Frogs. Kordell, what about you? What's your bonus play of the week?
You know what? I'm going to go with the team that I don't think no one's really giving credit to. How about this Dolphins and this Texans game, right? I'm going with the Dolphins. I think they have them up, by 14? No one wants to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. For the simple fact is they never thought he could get the ball thrown downfield. No one's mentioning right now they're number 1 in the AFC East. No one's talking about that right now. No one's alluding to he's actually playing arguably some of the best football of any quarterback in the game with the team in which he has, which is the Miami Dolphins, where all the issues were on him, but yet all of a sudden now the praise is indirectly coming his way. I'm going with them. I think they probably win by more than 14 points. I'm going with the Dolphins in the Texans game.
I don't hate that pick at all. I'll keep it short and sweet. Trojans, Notre Dame, one of the best, oldest rivalries in college football. Give me USC minus 5.5 at home. Just like TCU, they're playing for a spot in the college football playoff. I think they're going to get it done. And that does it for this week. Brandon, keep it to yourself. That does it for Believe Me. For Brandon Lang and Kordell Stewart, I'm Joe Ceraulo. We'll see you next week.